All right, welcome everybody to today's open forum. I hope everybody is doing well. You guys are adjusting well from the hurricane, at least with your numbers wise, and I'm glad you guys are back to producing and getting some of these deals closed as insurance is allowing. So we have seen quite a bit of that, and you're going to see that in the numbers. There have been lots of issues with sold and closing. As you can see, only 2,300 sold in the last 7 days. If you guys are looking at the screen there, not as many new listings. Things are off the market to be fixed. There's all kinds of issues that are going on. What are you guys seeing in the market? Give me a little bit of update of what you guys are seeing in the market. Let's hear it. Yes, Christina.
I'm just seeing, luckily the listings that I had did not have any damage, thank God. But I just feel like it's kind of slow overall. I'm seeing good listings, just kind of languish for a little bit. I think it's probably going to be this way until after the election to some degree. I don't know what everybody else is seeing.
I think that is a great between these storms and the election and some of the other things that we've had going on, the interest rate drops and all that. People have just been stalling, especially on the buyer side, but now some on the seller side too, because I couldn't sell my house right now if I had to. I lost some shingles and I lost a fence, and so I'm working on getting that right. If I were going to sell my house right now, I couldn't, and there's a lot of people in that boat. So if 10% of the people out there are in this boat, then listings are going to be down 10%. Sales are way down because of insurance and other things that people couldn't close for. But that's a great point, and I think the election's another good point, that people are waiting for whatever outcome they want, or for just an outcome at all. Yeah, 12% down. Yes, I'm not surprised by that. That's actually better than I thought, because of course 2023 September was low too. Yeah, I know they just sent the report, but it's better than I thought, because we couldn't even have closings on the 30th. So we love to schedule our closings for the end of the month, and the first storm hit the 27th or 28th or something like that. So they stopped binding insurance, and you guys had a lot of closings. Had to be extended from that, and then we got the other storm, so there was a very small window of closings in between the two, so numbers were down because of that. But overall, we're doing well compared to what I'm seeing in the market. Any other questions you guys have, or not questions, any other observations you guys have in the market? Anybody, please.
Hey, it's Lisa.
Yeah.
I've seen more listings pop up just in the last few days, it seems like, and it seems like more pending now all of a sudden. Like, I was getting nervous in Claremont, but I think I'm just trying to figure out how many. I'm looking at the map right now, and maybe a fourth or more are pending.
You're seeing a lot of listings go pending. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
So you're seeing a crunch on inventory in that area?
Yeah, as long as they're priced right, then they're going pending.
Yeah.
I think they're overpriced still.
Yeah, yeah. I think that people are getting more realistic about selling their properties. If they have to sell, they're dropping prices, and they have equity, so they're not stuck where they can't sell because they don't have equity. Where they'd have to bring money to closing or anything like that. People have lots of equity, and they might have this big number in their mind that, oh my gosh, we bought this house for 400 and we can sell it now for 650. And then when they only sell it for 600 because the reality slaps them in the face, they still did pretty well. They just want that extra 50,000. So you're seeing some of that too. People getting a little more realistic with it. And what we think is overpriced is very subjective. For people who come from other areas and stuff like that. We have a comment in the chat that the news reported many of these who came to Florida because cover are leaving because of hurricanes, high taxes, and home insurance. Don't believe that. I mean, I do believe some people have to go back to the office And I think a lot of people, when COVID hit, a lot of companies went virtual, gave people the remote working capability. And I think that they said, well, if I've got to live somewhere, I might as well live in Florida where the price of living is lower and the weather is great. And so they did. But I don't believe that, especially in election time. Everything you see on the news right now is driven by politics. Almost everything you see. There's still way more people. I'm sure some people are leaving Florida because of hurricanes. I mean, but you knew about hurricanes before you moved to Florida. And high taxes, there are not high taxes, so that's nonsense. Property taxes you can say are high, but there's no other taxes. And home insurance is a problem. But they're working on that. I don't believe that. Home insurance is a problem everywhere the hurricanes hit, for sure. Other states and other places are getting it too. But just keep in mind, everything you see right now on the news has a political angle to it. So just keep that in mind. But there's still more demand in Florida than there is anywhere else. You can check other people's numbers for sales and everything else, and we're in the best place in America for this. Sorry, who has their hand up? Lori.
Okay. I don't know how to advise a friend of mine who lives in Englewood, which is south of Tampa. Her front yard is the Gulf and the backyard is a bay. So they came into her basement apartment and her ground floor. And she's now wondering if she should fix the property up and try to sell it or just cut her losses, because she had no homeowner's insurance.
Mm-hmm.
So she would be liquidating income producing assets that she was using to live on in order to fix up the house. I don't know how to advise her. My gut feeling is to tell her, cut your losses and do not liquidate anything. Just get what you can and start over again.
That sounds reasonable, but it's all a numbers thing. What would she have to put into it? What would it be worth? Because then she could fix it up and sell it if she could do that. I mean, it depends on what it's worth, Lori. I mean, and it's all individual property related. There's no right answer.
Yeah, but the big question now, of course, is does anybody want to buy on that strip anymore? I mean, there's a slew of houses that suddenly came on the market right after the hurricane.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure. My brother lives in Longboat Key, so he's got the same kind of situation. When the second storm came, he just cleared out everything on his bottom floor. But fortunately for him, it's all garages and stuff. He's got a big house there. But he was surprised by the storm that wasn't supposed to hit them is the one that got all the surge. So yeah, that's the situation that he's in too. But he's fine. But there's no way to tell without the actual numbers. So you have to run the actual numbers on what her property is worth as a lot, because somebody can come in and build on pilings and build on, have a stilts and park their cars underneath and have a nice place. Or she can do that. But I wouldn't build there anymore like they have been, obviously, with the ground floor. Living on the ground floor. So it's up to her, but it depends on what the property's worth now, to sell it like it sits right now. Somebody come in and demolish the house or whatever, or what it's worth. If she puts a little bit of money or a lot of money in it and fixes it.
Yeah.
That's it. But the cleanest thing to do, obviously, is sell it for what it is right now. But like you said, there's tons of property available there now.
Yeah. She's got a lot of competition that she didn't have before.
Yep. And I think, a house there now that you live on the second floor and park your cars underneath or whatever, like you see in a lot of beach communities, it would be gold. I mean, people would love that. That would be, I wouldn't buy over there right now unless it was a house that I felt had, 15 feet of clearance.
Does not.
No.
Okay.
She'd have to do that. Anybody that builds over there from now on will have to do that. I don't think they'll get insured otherwise.
Okay. Well, I'll tell her what you said.
Well, don't tell her what I said, because I don't know the property. I don't know the numbers. I don't know her situation.
No, but I mean the suggestion that somebody might want to build on the lot and just the easy way is to sell it and move on instead. She's in her 80s. I mean, starting is crazy.
Yeah, she probably should, but that's her. I don't know her business. I don't know her. I don't know her energy level and all that stuff. And I don't think it's a genius idea to build on pilings and stilts. I mean, I don't think that's not my genius idea. I think that's pretty much a lot of people are going to do. But best of luck to her for sure. Christina.
So just circling back to what you were saying before, you know, and I saw like the news reporting that everybody is leaving. I actually had another friend and customer kind of bring that up to me. And it just reminded me of when I went to the Florida Realtors winter meetings, I think it's January, and they had like the chief economist for UCF. They had people from AAA. They had people from AARP. You can join at any age. I am now officially a member. But they were saying like they've done the numbers and it's like a net of like 1,100 people a day moving to Florida. And that's after they factor in the people that are leaving. So it is definitely a very popular narrative right now. And, you know, some of the stuff DeSantis does, I like. Some of the stuff he does, I don't like. But I think he's actually, I don't know, I feel like there's a lot of hate towards him, and so they kind of dump on our state a little bit. The numbers are what they are, right? So it's like, regardless of politics, we still have like a net of 1,100 people. You know, I just think we're in like a weird state with the election and the storms and all that.
I don't want to talk politics at all. I don't want another politician's name mentioned anywhere in our meeting. No, it's fine. That's fine. I mean, you guys are welcome to have your opinions. It's free speech, but we're not going to have that topic. No, there is. It's a lot of it's politically driven because of our governor's connection to one of the candidates, and so and also contrarian narratives are newsmaking. If people say Florida's great, people want to live there. What kind of article is that? Who's going to click on that? If you say Florida's terrible now, everybody's moving out. That's something of interest to people. So it's also for clicks. But hopefully that's that. Yeah. I always use 1,000 because it always was 1,000. Now it's 1,100 people a day. It was always roughly 1,000 people a day. And you can look at Florida's numbers over the years, how it has increased. Our population increases. They keep giving us more and more Congress people and congressional districts and electoral college votes and stuff like that, because we keep becoming a larger percentage of the population moving to Florida, and they take them away from New York and Michigan and everywhere where people come from. So that's that. And that's all the politics we'll discuss. But there is some political angles to all that stuff. And regardless of the, Florida has always been popular no matter who the governor is or whatever. And so it's great. Let me see who is next on my list of people. Valentino.
Yeah, good morning, Ryan. Good morning, everybody. Florida will always be a haven for retirees and for seniors because you can predict a hurricane coming in. Can you predict an earthquake in California? So that's the reason why, people will flock to Florida, and it's the exodus from the Northeast. And of course, from Canada, where I sit here. And I have to say that people are still looking for Lori. I have a lot of Canadians who are looking to discounted properties. They love discounted properties. So this is to the whole family or FRI team. If you have anything that you can sell, do give me a call, and you can email me, usrealtor12@gmail.com. I will look into it. I'll help you out. I also, Ryan, I'm not too sure. I have a listing right now, whether in the family we can broadcast it somehow so other realtors can help. And
Valentino, put it on our Facebook page or send it to Michelle Machado and she'll put it on our Facebook page.
Great. Thank you.
All right. No links to if you link MLS, you cannot do commission, cannot say commission. If you do not link MLS, you can say what the commission is. You don't need to link to MLS or put MLS numbers. People will look up everybody with MLS knows how to search a property. So just put the address, put some pictures, put what you want to say.
Okay. Thanks very much.
Thank you, buddy. Vivian.
I just wanted to swing back to the conversation about the elderly seller, property owner in the Tampa area. I have a somewhat similar situation. It's pretty much an insurance write-off at this point because the cost to rebuild would like supersede, the gain from it. But maybe she could investigate other ways to invest that rehab money that could be a better yield for her in her 80s, because it just sounds like it would be a big hassle for her to repair the property or bring it up to, current code, like what you were saying.
Right. And guys, and that's a great point. And that conversation with Lori was really good because it defines why you guys are important. When you're, Lori kept presenting me with different evidence, more and more evidence of different things, which changes the lady's situation. If you just start with a piece of property and it's flooded, and now what do we do? Well, you rebuild or, depending on what the numbers are. Well, she's didn't have insurance on it. And well, that changes the scenario, but she had this or that, right? And then it ends up, she's 80, in her 80s. That changes the scenario. So people's situations change. We talk about that when we do investment presentations about why I have that investor questionnaire, because everybody's needs are different. And you guys' job is to find out what's different. If the lady was in her 20s or 30s or 40s or, whatever, then, she's going to be there a while and she should consider rebuilding and living in it. If she's just going to rebuild it to sell it, whatever. I mean, this lady lives in Inglewood, which is actually down south of like Sarasota and stuff. If she lives there because she enjoys it, and it's a wonderful place to live, and it's the quality of life that she gets out of it. If she's in her 40s, she has many, many, many years to enjoy that, hopefully. If she's in her 80s, probably not. She has 40 less years than she would in her 40s, right? So whatever her number is going to be. So that makes a difference on rebuilding and enjoying it and whatever, because money's not everything, right? So there are different ways to advise different people. And this is why you guys are important. It's why you ask your clients questions and you figure all that stuff out. But thank you, Vivian. That's a good point. Tammy.
I just, sorry, Ryan, just want to interject to y'all, Laurie and Viviana, sorry. I have cash buyers up here who are desperately looking for really discounted properties, so we can make it happen if you want to.
Okay, wonderful. Get in touch with each other. Juliana.
Hi. Yes, just a comment on the first question you made at the beginning of the meeting. I feel the market has slowed down a little bit. The two listings I had in Deltona, we were on the market for a long time. Although many offers, but everyone lowball offers, people looking for discounted stuff. And I try with the owner to lower the price a little bit. They did, but not much. And we're not meeting anywhere with what the offers are coming in. So the two properties got rented. We have them leased for a year now, and we pulled it out of the market just to avoid, those numbers. So many days on the market, it's hurting the property instead of helping us. And once all these things happen, maybe starting next year, we'll put it back on the market. So that's the story with that one. And then we just rented. Well, we haven't rented this one. A listing for rent in Orlando. I feel rents are going down as well somehow. We just adjusted the price. We haven't received any interest on it as well, and it's leased, and so that's slowing down a little bit too. We adjusted the price. We'll see what happens. I mean, the hurricanes and all these things have also slowed everything. But that side, it's also kind of slowing down at this point. I think a lot of people are waiting for those elections to come up.
Yeah, and well, for the rental side, they can't wait. They've got to go when their lease is out.
Right, but that, I mean,
and
I just bought a property in the area where we just put this other property for lease, And there was a survey done for the rent, and the property is a 2-bedroom, 1 bath, the one we bought. And when they did the survey lease, they said 1,800, and we tried to rent it for 1,800. This other one, which is 2-bedroom, 2 bath, it has it's in a community, it has a pool, it has a tennis court, and no interest for the 1,800.
What area is that in?
It's in the Conway area near the airport, the MCO.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so we had a survey. I mean, we had numbers done for another property nearby, just one street difference, and we thought 1,800 would be a good thing. We went for the other one. Yeah, we lowered the price to 1,795
Okay.
to see if there's any response.
Yeah, we have seen rents stagnate. I can tell you from the property management side, we have seen rents stagnate. They're not going down, but they're not going up as
They're
fast.
not moving.
So, and a lot of people bought based on, the last 7 years, rents have gone through the roof.
Right.
Keep going up and up and up. So a lot of people bought investment properties based on that. And now they're based on, you can't buy based on, it's not sound to buy based on trends of, the values keep going up. They're not always going to go up. And they will long term. It's just like the stock market. If you bought Tesla stock and then it sat there for the next year and went down $5 a share, would you sell it, or would you say, I bought this for the long term? So I mean, it is going to go down. Sometimes Apple or whatever, it's going to go down, but long term, it's going to go up, right?
Yeah.
So I would just be patient and rent it for what you can get, because it's, so, and think about this when you're doing this. If you have something that you planned on $1,800 a month, and it might take you 2 or 3 months to rent it for that, you're better off taking $1,750 today, or $1,700 today, because you're not losing out on all those other ones, or $1,600. It's going to cost you $1,600. That's $200 a month. It's going to cost you $2,400 for the year to do it lower. But if it sits there empty for 2 months, that costs you $3,600. Right?
Yeah. So, but the one I bought, that's good. That one's rented. It's working out. But the one from my client, that's a property he purchased, I believe, back in 2013. So he's had it for a while.
Right.
And he was leasing it, and he was planning on leasing it this time for 2,000, but that did not work. So we brought the price down.
Okay. Good.
So it's just the area that it's very close by the property that I purchased. And when they did the survey, they told us 1,800. So when he said 2,000, I didn't think it was crazy price, but it certainly is not. Not what we're looking for.
If there's, what's your competition like out there?
There's a lot of apartments.
Yeah.
So this one is it's a villa, the one that we're trying to rent. And so it has a 2-bedroom, it has a 1-car garage. Like I said, well, the apartments, most of them have pool and tennis courts, but this one is a unit of itself. It's
right.
So,
Okay.
but it hasn't gotten much of, a few people call, but once we told them the price, there was no interest. So we lowered the price. We just lowered the price this weekend.
Good. Well, good luck with that. I think you'll be fine. It's just a matter of time, but have people make an offer. Tammy, I'm going to go to you because you disappeared last time.
Hey, I was talking to an agent, and they mentioned, and I missed it, or I don't know if it came out. Do we now have to have an addendum signed regarding flooding by the seller? She said that there's an addendum that says, have you made an insurance claim in the last a flood insurance claim ever, I guess, and they have to disclose that.
It's supposed to start in October, so yes.
Okay.
Let me find that for you guys. I'll have a definitive answer for you next week, but yes, I believe it is. I saw that months ago, and I knew that was upcoming, and that's one of the things that I wanted to talk about at a training, but I do not have it yet. But yeah, that was something that was presented. You know what? I'm going to look that up while we're going here. Let me get back to you guys on that. Christina.
So I'm looking for acreage for somebody. It can be a couple of acres. It can be, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 acres. If anybody has any, I'm trying to find something. I keep just running into all swampland. It's got to have at least, a couple acres dry. So if anybody knows, just within an hour of Orlando. And then yeah, with the hurricane impacted areas, I saw somebody posted a point where it was they were saying, somebody I know that sells in Tampa, and they were saying, a lot of people that maybe had coastal properties might be looking for somewhere to live while they rebuild for a year, and they might rather buy instead of rent. So I found this was interesting. What was the one that we had? Maybe it was Irma, or maybe it was Ian, where it hit the Keys really hard, and there was an agent I saw that just, she just started making calls, and she had like a really, she was able to do a lot of business because a lot of people, had the need, and she kind of thought like, oh, my business is going to disappear. So I think we got to just make the calls and still try, because there's still going to be, there still are people that are out there looking to buy and sell regardless.
I'm sorry, Christina?
Yeah.
They need 2 acres up to 50. Are they building a single family residence?
Yeah, they want to build 1. They will build 2. Ideally they'd build 2 if they can get enough acreage,
Okay.
but they're having a hard time finding, 2 acres high and dry in an area that they would like. Sorry, I don't mean to hijack the call with that, but
Sure. That's what confused me when you said up to 50. It was a little confusing, but I get it now.
yeah, we
Christine,
were.
Is the area around Ocala any good for them?
I think that might be a little too far.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go, Carolina.
Oh, hello. So I've been inactive for like the past 2 years, and I have a listing in the Avalon area. I just wanted to get a feel what everybody's seen lately about buyers requesting closing costs and credits like that. Because when I left, it was a seller's market. It was very different. So I wanted to see what everybody else is seeing with their listings.
I can tell you what I've seen on the macro is a little bit of that, but not a ton. It's a fairly even market right now, a little bit of a buyer's market maybe, but it's a fairly even market. I'm seeing a little bit of concessions toward rate buy downs. And obviously, if something's wrong with the house, you're seeing a little bit of that, but we're not seeing a ton.
Okay.
Not a ton. And, with the, if you're offering commission, then there's not that.
Yeah, the seller is offering commission, and the house is in great condition, and I think it's well priced. So that's why I was a little surprised with some offers that I got asking for credit. But yeah, thank you.
Well, people are broke out there. Don't get me wrong. People are broke, and they're trying to buy every bit of house they can possibly buy, and rates have hurt them because rates they're coming down a little bit, but they're up. And so they're wanting to get everything they can, and they're throwing offers out there.
Yeah, I think in this case, I believe maybe the agent is being a little too aggressive with the offers, because it really doesn't make sense to me. That's why I wanted to get like a feel of what everybody else is feeling. But yeah, to me, like the agent might be the one being a little too aggressive.
Yeah. Some agents do that. They try to be the hero, and they hurt their clients by doing that. So
Okay.
That's possible. Just negotiate in good faith back and say, we'll do this and we won't do that. But yeah, you're going to see that. I don't believe that. We're about to talk to Christina and see what she says, but I think that there's not a lot of that. Not too much.
Yeah.
Christina.
Yeah, I'm curious what everybody else is, in general on the call, what everybody is seeing in terms of commissions. My sellers, I'm going to be activating another listing within the next 2 weeks, and everybody, I had a couple people after this announcement, everybody's wanted to offer, a decent commission. you know, and just offer it. I'm running into some people where they're saying, oh, you know, I called somebody to ask the other day, and they said, oh, the seller's willing to do it based on your BBA and the offer. So when I talk to my sellers, I'm sure you guys are doing the same. Like my whole process is, listen, you know, because the seller that I you know, I'm listing now, they brought up, they go, well, what's with the changes? And so were they not doing commissions? And I said, listen, you know, anybody that has a decent agent, and personally, I would want to deal with somebody that had an agent. I don't want to deal with some random person that doesn't have any, it's maybe sold 5 houses in their lifetime even. You know, I'd rather deal with somebody that has an agent. But anybody that has a good agent, or any agent, now we're required to have this agreement where we have our fee. So whether you're offering it or not, either they're going to ask for it, or they're, you know, they're going to make the offer less to accommodate for them having to pay, because I explained to them, like, hey, we have to have this and we have to state our fee now. So, and nobody really works for free. So I'm personally seeing my sellers be willing to do it. Most of the people that I talk to are willing to do it. I do want to say I just did a deal with a builder. I'm seeing more, you know, the builders being a little bit more friendly. Did a deal with a builder in Groveland, Onyx Homes, and they were great. They were very easy to deal with. These are like solid concrete homes. They're 3D printed. They put them together in the community. Some of you may have been out there, some of you maybe not. But these are homes with quick turnarounds too. It's like 30 to 60 days from completion. Like they 3D print like the slabs, then they bring them over, they, you know, connect it there. It's a really cool process, but turn them around in 30, 60 days, 3% to start, and then they have a loyalty program. So I'm seeing a lot of that. I'm seeing my sellers willing to pay. I'm curious what you guys are seeing out there.
I don't want to step on anybody here, but I'll tell you what I see, because I see the macro. I hear you guys, especially now. You guys call me all the time about compensation agreements and how am I going to get to 3%? Because I'm at 2.5%, or, you know, what am I supposed to do if they're only offering 2%? I will tell you, everybody's pretty much still offering. That's what I'm hearing from you guys, is pretty much the same. I think there's a lot more 2.5% than there used to be. There's some 2s now. I think if I had to say, it's probably gone down an average of 0.25% that you're being offered between all the 2.5s and 2s. Then I'm very rarely hearing 3s from you guys, as used to about half the time. You guys know, a third of the time, maybe half the time, it was 3% and the rest was 2.5% or whatever it was. But yeah, that's what I'm seeing. And on luxury, obviously it's lower, but I'm still seeing people offer commission. I mean, realtors are still doing a good job of explaining why we still have to do that if the sellers are asking. So yeah, I haven't seen that. I don't know what you guys have seen. Tammy.
Hey, I kind of feel like the MLS, when they decided to put that little field of seller concessions, I think it just like, I think people just thought, oh, we're just going to start asking for seller concessions. I mean, I feel like they just put the power of suggestion in everybody's mind, kind of. That's my thought.
Yeah, I believe that. Celeste.
I'm seeing a lot of 2%. But what I feel like we are doing wrong, or I don't know how to explain this, as agents, when I call to ask, you know, what is the percentage that you guys are cooperating, or the seller is cooperating with the buyer's agent, some agents are very secretive. They do not want to communicate. They'll say something like, oh, just put it in the offer. It depends on what. It's either did you negotiate it or not? Was it spoken when you took the listing? So it's extremely confusing, and I feel like I'm having to try to get this information up front from the listing agents in multiple ways before I even show the property, because I want to make it clear. I want to have that communication clear with my buyer and the listing agent, and sometimes it's extremely frustrating because I'm not getting that upfront. They either don't want to call back or communicate it, or they're very secretive about it, and I understand they're hopefully looking out for their clients, but it's very confusing. But I am seeing a lot of 2%. I've seen 1.5%. I have a few closings coming up, and they're between 2.5% and 3%. So.
Okay. That's what that's one thing I've heard a lot more is the 2%. I didn't used to hear that very often. So
Right.
I'm hearing a lot more 2%. And that's why I said they've probably gone down on average a quarter, because I'm still hearing some 3s and mostly 2.5s. We used to get a mix of maybe a third of the 3s and a half 2.5 and a sixth of 2.25 or 2% or something like that. But now you guys can fight for it. So this is the opportunity that you guys have to go for that. If I hear 2%, you guys tell me somebody's offering 2%, I tell you, well, how are you going to get the other percent? That's what are you going to put it on the contract? What are you going to do? How are you going to ask for a concession? What are you going to do for that other percent? Because go for 3 every time if they offer 2.
Mm-hmm.
That's my advice. If they offer 2.5, I would probably eat that 0.5% as the buyer's agent, as opposed to fighting my buyer or them for a 0.5%, because then you kind of look, that's a little, it doesn't look good. But I mean, that's my opinion. Everybody have their own opinion. But the 2%, no, I'm not working for 2%. I mean, if it's a $50 million deal, yeah, I'll work for 2%, but I'm not working for 2% on a house. So that's me. You make up your own, but you can go that now. Guys, a couple of months ago, you couldn't do that. If somebody's offering 2%, that's what you got. Or you sell them a different property, and that was it. That's all you could do. So unless you actually were using the buyer brokerage agreement because your broker told you to, but you didn't. So, but now you can do that. Now you can put it on the contract. You can negotiate that. All right. Use it it's a positive. And when you guys tell me, oh, they're offering 2%, I say, well, get the other percent. What's on your buyer brokerage agreement? 3. Then get it from the seller. The cheapskate seller and their terrible listing agent who couldn't talk them into 3%. Not that you guys are terrible if you can't talk them into 3%, because sometimes they get that in their mind, but then they don't understand, and you can't explain it to them why that's a bad idea. Christina.
Yeah, I think it's really just an opportunity, like you said. If they're doing that, like I think a lot of the people that are offering that kind of a number are expecting for you to come back and be because now they're seeing it more. Because now, I don't know why every single thing that NAR puts out is like, commissions are negotiable. Don't forget to negotiate that commission. So I think they're kind of like, oh, okay, this person is I don't think it hurts to start higher on our end, a 3.5 or 4 for some of the buyer broker agreements, because then they feel like, oh, okay, they've come down. So, I mean, it just depends on, how you want to handle it. But I think those people, a lot of them are, I'm seeing that too. And it's like, okay, if I'm putting in an offer or whatever, I'm explaining, okay, I have a BBA at 3%. So if you guys aren't going to offer this, the offer is going to come down. I think they're expecting that from us, right? Like, I think that at this stage of the game, they're expecting that it's going to be a negotiation.
Yep. If I were selling my house, guys, I'll just be dead honest with you. I'd offer 2.5% and probably wouldn't negotiate unless it's a great offer. But I think that 2.5% offering that is kind of enough to get people to accept it and not fight for more. And 2%, you're asking for it. I agree. If you got any kind of agent at all who wants to make a living, who needs to make a living, I know some of you guys are independently wealthy, or you have very supportive financially spouses or partners or whatever, and that's great for you. But people who are hungry out there, or people who want to grow their business or whatever, require a certain return. A lot of agents out there are splitting with their broker at 2%. And, it's rough out there, but there's a reason you guys are with us, because you want money and you want to reinvest in your business, and you want 3% of every deal you do. Right. So get 2.5 or 3% of every deal you do. But I'll just be that honestly, that's what I would expect at 2.5. I wouldn't expect a fight over commission. At 2, I would expect to hear about commission. I would expect every offer. If I were offering 2%, I would expect every offer I got to have something in it about commission. I'd be shocked if the word commission isn't somewhere in this contract you offer me, right? So that's how I feel about it. But that's me. Everybody's different. Magdalena. Magdalena, did you ever? You might be on mute. Tammy's never on mute. Go ahead, Tammy.
Hey, so I do have a buyer broker agreement for 3%, and they are only paying 2.5, but I am going for the other. He is a medical doctor, and he's like, well, what about you? Blah, blah, blah. So what I'm wondering is when we go to do our commission disbursement, I guess we just put 3%, but the title company will figure out that's going to be part of his closing costs, the other 0.5%, or how's that going to work?
No, just tell them. Say I'm getting 2.5 from them and 0.5 from him.
Okay.
I mean, when they send you that email of what commission you're expecting, right? They always send that email to both sides, and you say the seller's offering me 2.5, and the buyer is going to pay the rest in cash.
Okay.
So hit him for it. Make sure you hit him for it on the thing. If you might have to explain it at this point to the title company. You might want to explain it to the title company. Say charge him 0.5%, X amount, whatever it is, for he'll bring in cash.
And the lender is aware as well, that he's paying the difference too.
Right.
So, hey, I mean, I don't know. Someone gave me a pep talk that it's like, this is a contract. And if you kind of give in on your contract, this is what you get paid, and you're contractually made an agreement with this person, kind of what does that say about you with dealing with the other part of the deal? But anyway, I'm just getting bold when I can and trying to get the 3%.
Well, by the time this deal gets so far that you're deciding 2.5 or 3%, you've already negotiated everything you need to negotiate for the deal for the most part. But it's also, and I told you guys that I think you should, stick to it. But if you're not going to, just like if you pay the fee for them, which a lot of you guys pay the fee for your clients, just like if you pay the fee for them, what does that say about you? It says you're trying to help them out, right? So I don't think it says anything, but I think you do need to take credit for it. I think you're salespeople, and if you're covering something for somebody, or if you're letting them off the hook for 2.5 instead of 3, it's because, look, I love working with you, and I want to continue to work with you and your family and your friends. I'll cover this other 0.5% that my broker's asking for. All right. And we're not really asking for it, but your broker's asking for it. Your broker's, we're due. I'll cover this other 0.5% my broker is due. I think that says something about you and your willingness to work with them, and your desire to work with them in the future, and their family and their friends. And they have some sort of obligation now that they kind of owe you. You covered for them. Seller didn't pay them the 3% that they owed, but you covered it for them. I'm going to go back to Magdalena because you keep raising your hand and you get unmuted, and I think you can do it now.
Hey, finally. Good morning, everybody. What Celeste said about agents being secretive, I really truly think they are very uneducated. Nobody just tells them anything, and it's just lack of education combined with ignorance. And I sometimes take my time, as annoyed as I get, that I kind of educate them and tell them why and what happens and why I need the info from them. So that's that. And when it all changed, I had an agent, a buyer's agent, coming to my listing, and obviously I told her that the sellers are paying 2.5%, and she came back with the contract 3%, and I was first like, I told you it's only 2.5%, but then I thought to myself, good for her, she's negotiating. So, I'll do the same. I'll not take anything for granted, because sometimes we just go with, with the flow. And on the other subject, I have 2 listings. Actually, one is supposed to close tomorrow, which is going to be delayed, and another one on 25th. And what I've noticed, and I heard communication from the lenders, that lenders, we are past the appraisal, we are past the inspection, we're like literally very close to close, everything is done. But right now, all the lenders are doing drive-bys to make sure an extra inspection prior to closing to make sure that the house still stands and there is no major damages.
Okay. That is delaying closings. Yes, they're doing a reinspection of the property, not a full reinspection, but yes, to make sure that there's no obvious damage to it. That's going on a lot. So yes, that's happening, and that's slowing down closings. Thank you for your input, Magdalena. Christina.
Just wanted to piggyback on what Tammy was saying earlier. So, I had this happen even though I told the lender, and it's my lender leveraged up, but her processor made a mistake. So if your buyer is, we got it all ironed out and fixed, but if your buyer is going to be paying up, you have that contract. A lot of, by the way, like we have flexibility, but a lot of these companies, I think like the Coldwells and some of the big franchises, whatever the BBA says, they're not, the buyer's going to be responsible. I think a lot of these people are not going to allow them to make a lot of changes. But if the buyer's paying a portion of your commission, just make sure that the lender is aware when they're giving that good faith estimate so that they can put that on there. So that the buyer isn't getting slapped with that fee at a later date. So I, just a friendly reminder, just make sure if they're giving them good faith estimates, they're under contract and you have 3% and they're having 2%, just make sure that lender knows. And same thing, I just tell the title company as well, like, hey, they usually ask you, but just make sure hey, I'm 3%, the seller is paying 2.5, the buyer's paying 5, because I think we just got to be really on top of that because they're not as invested in it as we are. We just got to make sure that they are disclosing that properly and not surprised. I think the number one thing here, just manage the expectations so they're not surprised.
Yep. Good. Thank you. That's good advice because there are limits to what people can pay if they're getting a certain loan and certain things. Tammy.
The other thing I have been doing is, not that I've had a ton of listings, but I do the calendar for showings. So when somebody requests a showing and I approve it, I automatically, their phone number's on there, I automatically attach the agreement that talks, was it the seller's broker to buyer's broker agreement that already has the commission. I just email that right to them the moment they request a showing so they know what the commission is.
Awesome. Okay, guys, I want to talk to you about this thing that Tammy brought up earlier. It is, I'm going to show you the screen. This is very important. I'm going to show you the screen. And I'm going to show you the form in a second, but this is the new flood disclosure law. It went into effect on October 1st. And what it says is, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but the property disclosure form, seller's property disclosure, has been updated with more flood stuff on it. Let me find that. This is the flood disclosure. So if they don't, sorry, let me share this tab. All right. This is the flood disclosure. It's a brand new form. It was done, as you can see on the bottom here, 9 of 24, which means, let me blow this up so you guys can read it a little better. It was created in September of 24. It's the first version of it. The FD1 first version of it was September of 24. And what it says is if the property has ever been a claim for flood. Has it ever been flooded? Has it ever been claimed for flood? Has it ever received federal assistance from FEMA, et cetera, right? Now, those questions are also on the seller's property disclosure. So seller's property disclosure, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but we've let you off the hook for those before because they are not required by law. They can't be required by law. You do have to disclose if there's something wrong with a property, anything materially affects the value of a property, but you didn't always have to fill out that form. And in fact, when sellers had attorneys advising them, the attorney would advise them, don't fill out the form, just disclose things that are materially affect the value today. That means if my roof blew off in the last storm, but I got it fixed, I don't have to disclose that because it's fixed. If it's leaking now, I have to disclose that. So I would have to disclose mine right now because the hurricane blew my shingles off and I got some leaks. So, but once I fix those, I don't have to disclose it. It was a hurricane and I fixed it, right? So it doesn't materially affect the value anymore. You can't hide from a hurricane. It happens or it doesn't happen. So nothing that happened before materially affects the value as long as I fixed everything. So this is a separate disclosure. If they do not fill out the seller's property disclosure, they do have to fill this out. And we're going to make this required. This has been coming down the pipe. They've been talking about this for all year. It kind of got lost in the NAR stuff. But this is required now. If you do not have a seller's property disclosure, you need this. Seller's property disclosure covers this, but if you do not have a seller's property disclosure, you're going to need this flood disclosure. It is on Form Simplicity and on, as you can see, Transaction Desk. And this is what it looks like. It looks the same on both. Okay. This is going to be a requirement. It's going to be on your checklist. Just FYI. I will be sending out an announcement about this too. But thank you for bringing it up today, Tammy. Juliana.
Yeah. So this form, when sometimes the sellers don't fill it out because they never lived on the property, do we do the same thing with this form? Or?
Yep. They'll know whether or not they filed a claim or received FEMA.
Right. Okay.
So yes, even if they never lived there, they need to fill this out.
Okay.
And you just make it part of their thing. It doesn't even have to be initialed by the buyer. Just you can put it as an attachment on the MLS.
Okay, because I had a situation with a previous property that I helped a client purchase, and they had that thing on. They had a seller's disclosure marked off saying seller never lived in the property. But they did when they tried to do the insurance, they saw that they had, not them or the previous person in the house had made a claim for, I think it was flood,
Okay.
water intrusion, something they had paid, the insurance had paid for that claim. It was a water claim.
Right.
So, but they still on the seller's disclosure, they had put nothing because they said they never lived in the property. However, they were the owners. But I know the owner had purchased the house maybe 2-3 months ago, and they flipped it and put it back on the market.
So they had no knowledge of that.
So I guess, yeah, they had no knowledge at that point.
That's why they put seller never occupied property. That's the point of that.
Right.
Obviously, if I had it for 15 years and I had tenants in it, then
they'll know.
I would know some stuff, but I can still not fill that form out or put I never lived there. And I don't have to disclose things that happened before and I fixed.
Right. But if they were the owners and they file a claim for flood, they would know.
Now they do, as
Now
of
they
October 1st. Yes. For the last 2 weeks, they do.
Right. So
If it was before that, they don't.
after October 1st, we can request this form to be
No,
signed.
well, October 1st is passed. So from now on, this is not requested to sign. It has to be.
It needs to be signed.
It needs to be unless they fill out the seller property disclosure and fill out the flood section of that.
Right.
So at some point they need to say no or yes.
Right. Okay. Perfect.
At some point they need to say I've never done this or I've done this. So and the place to do that is these check marks right here, has or has not. Right. So you need to see that either on the seller's property disclosure or here. Even if they do a seller's property disclosure, but they don't fill out the flood part, then they need to have this too. Somewhere it needs to have the flood part done. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Thank
Any
you.
other questions on that? I will be sending out an email. It'll have this form attached to it just for you guys to see, but it's just called flood disclosure. There are a couple of other flood forms that you will see here. If I go into flood, but the flood disclosure, this one is from 1021. That's the insurance contingency rider. Here's the flood disclosure, FD1. That's what's done. The rest is insurance stuff. Okay, so flood disclosure, it's what is required. All right, guys, any other questions before we go? Nothing? Perfect. Oh, Lori, yes, ma'am.
I got a call last night from somebody she and her husband are both getting disability, and they need a 1-bedroom rental, and the tops that they can pay is like $700 a month. Does anybody have a rental in like the Orlando area? But they'll take anything, but it has to be handicapped accessible.
Lori, please hit our Facebook page with that.
Okay, I'll do that.
Yeah, that'll hit a lot more people.
Thank you.
And you're looking, is it a rental you're looking for?
Yeah, they can't afford to buy. They can't afford $700 a month in rent, but of course they would rather pay less if they can. But the most that they can face is $700 a month.
Yeah, I don't know that. I know I don't know of anything like that.
I don't have my hopes up for that at all.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other questions or comments? One thing I would look at, the only time you're going to see rent like that these days is on like roomies.com or something like that, where they would share a house with somebody else. And hopefully there would be a bottom floor room available. But people are doing
Roomies.com. Okay.
Yeah, just get on there and take a look around.
Okay, thank you.
There is a website called Furnished Finder, and they're furnished properties, but you can find all kinds of prices there. And one bedroom, 1 bath are very common units.
Great.
And
then that's Furnished Finder.
Right. That's the name. That's the website.
Okay.
Furnishedfinder.com.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you very much. All right, guys, and don't forget to put it on our Facebook page. Guys, make sure you're using our Facebook page. We got a lot of 400 and something people on there of our agents, and you can get a lot of help there. People need people to work. People need people to work open houses, and I know some of you want to work open houses. Carolina Estevez.
Good morning. I just wanted to clarify, Tammy, for the listings. I send the compensation agreement. Did you say send the compensation agreement or the buyer broker agreement with the commission? I was just not understanding what you said.
The commission agreement, which is seller's broker to buyer's broker, if that's what they're doing. Yeah, it's not
wouldn't
the
that be
BBBO.
the buyer wouldn't that be the buyer broker agreement? I just sent the commission agreement, correct?
Compensation. Compensation is
Okay.
called compensation agreement. Don't send the buyer agreement.
Okay. That's okay. That's just a clarification. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Yes, ma'am. This is something new. Back-to-back Carolinas.
Hi, I'm looking for somebody to host open house for me this weekend on Avalon. Listing price $450. I'm gonna put it on the Facebook page if anybody's interested. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, hurry up and do that. This is something we can advertise and get going there. So yeah, hurry up and put it on the Facebook page. And you guys, I know times are tough, but they're a lot better if you've got leads, and you get leads from doing open houses. One of the ways you do it. And it's a great energy to have. And it's a nice house, Carolina.
Yes, it's a gated community. It's in great condition. I think it's very well priced. Yeah, very good house.
Awesome. Great.
I have a question about that. Since it's a gated community, do we post the gate code, like a temporary gate code for the open house on the MLS?
I think that anybody going would look at the showing instructions, full showing time. I don't know. What do you guys do when you do that? When you do an open house with a gate?
I think it's tricky.
Usually, oh, sorry.
Yes. In the past, I've had like agents I've reached out to. You might could say call for the call if you're coming to the open house or something to provide a gate code. You might need to call the HOA. Sometimes you can do something at the call box, but I'm not really sure.
Okay, I'll reach out to HOA.
Yeah, call the HOA and make sure they give you a code, especially for the open houses. I've had experiences where the residents or the rest of the owners get upset because you're giving a code that is not temporary or is not used for open houses. So either you or the owner can call the HOA and let them know that you have an open house over the weekend, and they will provide you with a code.
Okay, yeah, I'm really trying to get somebody from our office to host it. I could hire somebody in Shawami, but I rather have somebody within the office, that can host it. So hopefully somebody will be interested.
Awesome. Well, let's hope so. And good luck with that. And we'll be watching for it on our Facebook page. But the sooner you do it, the better. Any other questions before we go? Questions or comments? Thanks everybody for your feedback today. I've had a lot of participation today. It's been very exciting. I think this frisky weather has got you guys interacting, which is great. Enjoy the weather. I am leaving town tomorrow, just so you guys know. I'm leaving town tomorrow, not coming back till Tuesday. So I will have access to emails for a few minutes every day. We'll have access all the time, but I'm only going on a few minutes every day. So a little bit in the morning, a little bit in the afternoon. So if you need anything, let me know. If you need something, Michaela can help you, Carissa can help you. But I should be able to respond to your emails and even texts. I'll be in the islands, but I should be fine. All right, guys, if you have anything else, don't have anything else, I'll see you guys next week. Bye, everybody. Next week, we're going to have a presentation next week. That should be pretty good. So we'll see you next week. Bye, everybody.
Have fun.